Hello, welcome back to American Beef Ranch. My name is Jesse. Thank you guys for stopping in. I really appreciate you guys watching this video. And if you need any additional information, it'll be in the description. Go ahead and check it out there. Today, I wanted to take some time and talk about a fertilizer product that we've been selling for the past 2 years. And I think we're to the point, well, I know we're to the point now that we can confidently talk about the product, what it does for farmers, and the results that we're seeing long term, or that we will see in the long term, and then how the quality of product has really helped us in a lot of situations where the conventional product wouldn't have fixed some of the issues that we've had. Before we get into that, I think it's important to talk about why we're doing this. I myself and all of us here at American Beef Ranch believe there is a better way to do things constantly, all the time, and that goes right along with farming. There is a better way of farming. Regenerative agriculture is a better, more holistic way of farming. That's what we believe, and that's what we're moving toward. And our goal is to drive agriculture forward into a more regenerative state of farming. And it's a lot more easily said than done. And so our goal here is to help the farmer take a baby step. And this product is that. So this blended fertilizer product that we sell is that baby step to help farmers start on their regenerative journey, because this doesn't take any special equipment. It doesn't really change about what we're talking about with farmers. It does change some of the aspects of how we think about fertilizer. And like I said, just getting them to change and try a new product, something a little different, is that first step. So we really come a long way with it. So I'm going to put some information up on the screen as we're talking through this. Typically, our product is a blend between two products, and that's because only two products, because in my part of the world pH is very high, and so both these products have a low pH, so we can bring that pH down. But then there's low pH parts of the country, such as Iowa and the Midwest, the black dirt country, and we would blend that with a third product to help get the pH to come up in those situations. So first off is the chicken manure. Typically the chicken manure that we are blending with has a guaranteed analysis of 4421. So 4 nitrogen, 4 phos, 4 potassium, or 2 potassium, and then 1 sulfur in that blend. So what that is it's not just any old chicken manure, it's specially processed, so it's superheated and super cooled, so you get the best of both worlds. And when I say both worlds, I mean that dry compost from manure is good and all, but it doesn't have a lot of that fertilistic value that the wet raw manure has. It's not able to hold on to that. But wet raw manure takes a long time. If you didn't know, it takes up to 5 years to really break down in the soil and be used by other plants if the minerals inside the soil are able to help hold on to that liquid portion, which most of them are not. So in the end, raw manure typically in most situations doesn't help farmers any more than dry compost does. So with this special process of superheating and supercooling very quickly, we're able to lock in those nutritional values, and it stabilizes the product. So we get rid of any bad bacteria that you may have, or any bad funguses that you may have in that product, and at the same time it stabilizes it, so we know what we're getting every time. It's very consistent, and that's important when we're prescribing fertilizer, to have a consistent basis to work off of. So that's kind of our first thing, and we can get that in other levels. You can get it like a 772 or a 4441. And so that 1% of sulfur is actually our mined mineral product that we blend it with. They put a little bit of that in the chicken in the process, because the sulfur helps sequester the ammonium inside of that chicken manure, and so it's able to hold on to the wet product part of that. And then obviously there's probably more items that it can go into to help hold on to the wet product. So then we go to our mine product. So our mine product is a mostly sulfur product, but it's been found to have 72 different nutrients. The mine that we're mining out of, the amount of sulfur is pretty unique to that. There's not been another mine found like it at this point in time. And what makes it special is not only is it all the sulfurs and gypsums and calciums and all of those things, but it's in proportionate levels that most soils could use. Now, the reason sulfur is important, if you didn't know, you need sulfur to help feed nitrogen to the plant. And it's gone missing from a lot of our fields. And so a lot of traditional fertilizer dealers will put on ammonium sulfate or elemental sulfur. Ammonium sulfate's great, and it'll help feed that nitrogen, but it's not building it back into your soil for future years. And elemental sulfur is awesome too, but the problem is that elemental sulfur has to break down to be available to be used in the nitrogen cycle as sulfur sulfate. So on the screen now, you're going to see just base nutrients per ton of what we get in our fertilizer products. So as you can see here, we get calcium, 57.32 pounds. Sulfur sulfite or trioxide, SO3, is 246.47 pounds. Sulfur sulfate, so SO4, is 171.96. Calcium and sulfur sulfate gypsum, so gypsums from both calcium and sulfur, 310.85 pounds. That's per ton, per 2,000 pounds. Elemental sulfur, you see there, is quite a bit, 326.28 pounds. And then potassium oxide, or KO2, 59 pounds. So those nutrients are very important. And basically what happens is we have mined our soils for the nutrients in them, and these nutrients are super important to all of the processes within the soil. And the sulfur cycle being the easiest one to talk about, you need elemental sulfur, but you need sulfur trioxide and you need sulfur sulfate. So you have sulfur now for the nitrogen cycle, you have sulfur breaking down for a little bit later, and then you have elemental sulfur that will break down over time and be available to be used in future uses. So basically what we do is we take a soil sample and we look at these two products and we blend them together, and usually I would say on average we are 60 to 70% mineral to 30 to 40% chicken manure, and there's a reason for that. So the next sheet that we're going to bring up, let me find it here. So now on your screen you should be able to see a guaranteed analysis. So this guaranteed analysis is the major nutrients of a 1-to-1 blend base product, so the mined mineral product and the chicken manure. And I'm pretty sure it's 1-to-1 by weight, not volume, because that would be way off. So we got 200 pounds of chicken manure, 200 pounds of sulfur mineral. So if you go down here, you can see a lot of those numbers are pretty close to what we talked about. There's a little bit more sulfur, a little bit more KO2 as there should be. There's phos, about 50 pounds. Your nitrogen is about, like I said, that 4%, a little bit higher than 4%. We have ammonium nitrogen, 23.9 pounds. You have your borons, your silicon, your copper, your iron, magnesium, and manganese, zinc. And then an important one to note here, these two bottom ones are very important to look at. So salt, 3.7 pounds per ton. Okay, most places in the world have plenty of salt in the ground. You don't need any more salt. And because a lot of fertilizers, traditional fertilizers, are salt-based, there's been plenty of salt put on your ground. You don't need any more salt. There's plenty of it. And you still are getting some good salt here. That's another thing to important, is that the quality is very high. And so then you see there a total pH of 5.99, so 6.0 pH. So honestly, that pH will work for most people. Because the best thing about this mineral is what it does is it helps create a state of homeostasis within the soil. It helps bring everything back to neutral. And then the chicken manure on top of it just helps feed those plants and those soils those other major nutrients that you need, mostly the nitrogen. It's also important to note that the chicken fertilizer is a biological fertilizer, so its nitrogen is going to work in a different way than a chemical nitrogen counterpart will. And you can argue about that in the comments all day long if you want to, but this 442 acts 2 to 4 times more potent than its chemical number. At the same time, we have a liquid organic nitrogen, and we also have liquid fertilizer products for those crops that need additional, or those crops that get hurt and need some help to, get out of a bad phase. And that's a 600 is what we start with, but it is, with our mineral mixed in it, we treat it like it's 28% nitrogen. But we will mix mineral, we'll mix sea kelp, sucrose, sugars, humic acid, good humic acid, anything in there that we need for those crops, based off the petiole samples and the soil samples. Because if you're not sampling, you're really not going into what you're really not. If you're not sampling, you're really not doing yourself any justice, because you need to know what's going on so you can apply the correct products. So that's kind of the breakdown of all of it. Like I said, the chicken is sourced out of the Northwest. The company is very intertwined with the company that does the mining. Obviously, they are buying our product to put in their chicken manure product, and then obviously we're buying it back, blending it, and putting it into the soil. So our process typically is, we like to look at histories, we like to look at all those things. This fertilizer is going to change the way that farming is done, and I truly believe that this is a tool to help get farmers to moving in the right direction. Because if you have nutrients locked up in the ground, this will unlock them. If you have nutrient imbalances in the ground, this will unlock it. If you have really low pH, this will raise it. If you have really high pH, this will lower it. It'll get you back to that state of homeostasis. There's a very famous YouTube farmer that said, at one point said, until I get my pH right, I'm not worried about anything else in the soil, getting anything else in the soil correct. And that is completely backwards from the way that we should be thinking. This product will combine together, and I'm sure there's another product in the world that will do this, but these products combined together will not only help raise that person's pH to where he wants it, but also start correct the other issues that are within the soil. The other things that we're seeing, and some of the data that I've seen, is after a time we're able to taper off the amount of sulfur that we're applying and the amount of chicken, because we get those numbers built up in the soil. So unlike a traditional fertilizer company that says, hey, what are you growing? Okay, you need this much based off your soil sample just to feed the plant. Our goal is to help correct the soil to feed the plant. We're not just putting it in the dirt to feed the plant. Like, we want to help you correct your soil. Super low organic matter. I've seen, so typically in Idaho, where we irrigate and we see, I typically see organic matter from 1.8 to 2.8%. So honestly pretty awful low. And I would say most of those are under 2.5, so 1.8 to 2.5. Really low organic matter. And helping build those up is really important. But also with that, you have to reduce tillage, because anytime you till, you just kill the organic matter. But that's a big problem we have here. So this product I don't want to say it doesn't band-aid, but all those other problems that we're having in the soil, calcium, types of calcium that will lock up your ground, positive and negative ions locking up other nutrients within the soil. We could spend hours and have a whole lecture on this, but there's plenty of other people that gone into that for you. Basically, what you need to know is that we're going to come in, we're going to take a soil sample, we're going to custom blend a product based off of what the soil sample says and what the crop that is going to be. And then in 3 to 5 years, you can expect the rates to taper off, because those products are going to get in that soil. They're going to help unlock it. They're going to help build up that soil health, and you're not going to need as much anymore. And I think that's the entire goal. Lower input farming is where we need to head to. So before I continue to ramble on, please, if you have any comments, put them down in the comment section. Ask questions. These products are really good. You guys can contact me anytime if you want more information. I'm in South Central Idaho, but this product has gone all over the world, and we can get it to you if you're really wanting to take that first step and try a new product, try something different in the fertilizer world that's completely 100% organic and is a really great product, and it works. My customers keep coming back and buying more. We keep getting more customers, and we're just going to keep working until we get this in as many places as we can. Thank you guys for watching. Like you said, check out the links in the description, and we'll see you next time on American Beef Ranch.